I would now like to turn to Mr. Dimitri Syrris. He's the founder and CEO of Baotree. Dimitri, you're an environmental community technologist and have a lot of experience in big data, machine learning, and you've decided to use this for the conservation of nature. And maybe you can just go a little bit into the difference between big data and what's often referred to as verifiable data for biodiversity management. And in this context, also, what do you see as the future, aspects of conservation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. And it's an absolute privilege to be here celebrating World Wildlife Day. I think we all care very deeply about it. I'm just going to share my screen and I will happily address your questions. So, of course, our theme here today is recovering key species for ecosystem restoration. I'll take no longer than 5 minutes of your time. Just to introduce Baotree, we are a software as a service technology company that provides the collection, verification, and management of data at the ground or grassroots level. We operate with organizations that subscribe to our software and who work with underserved ecosystems and communities within rural and remote Africa and Asia. So to go a little bit more into, I guess, a bit of a macro picture of what's happening, I mean, all of these 4 pillars that you can see, from the illegal wildlife trade to climate change, population growth, habitat loss, our wildlife has everything against it. And in the last 2 weeks, I'm based here in Nairobi in Kenya. I had the privilege of seeing a reticulated giraffe where there's only 8,500 individuals estimated living in the wild, as well as the gravy zebra, estimated 3,000 left in the wild, and the mountain bongo on the left, where there's only 100 individuals left, and they're isolated across Kenya. Now, one thing that isn't addressed here is that all of these are man-made challenges. So the protection of wildlife needs to be with the community at its core, the custodians, the stewards of the land. They are the ones that are coexisting with our nature. So how does Baotree actually work? So in terms of how we work with organizations supporting these protected areas, there's 3 simple steps. Number 1 is the most critical. It's participatory monitoring and evaluation where the communities are involved in the data collection themselves. Now, we're mindful that not everyone has a smartphone. So we utilize SMS, or what's known as USSD technology, like mobile money and M-Pesa. It's the same way it operates. So build tech for the end user, not for how we wish to build it. So quite simply, community members would report a task, could be a wildlife conflict, or they've seen an endangered species, or it's removing invasive plants. That will then come through to the data collector. And this would be one of the organization's employees, rangers, community champions, and they receive, just like you would request an Uber ride, they are Uber drivers for impact, and they can see all the information that community members have reported. And once they arrive at the location of where that data signal came from, they would be guided to capture photographic evidence. And you can see here more granular data labels, but each activity or data component would have more granular data labels specific to that activity. And then from the field, that would come through to our customers' proof of impact dashboard, where they can review all of the quantitative data in real time so that they can optimize and streamline their operations on the same day and not having pen, paper, email, and spreadsheets capture the information. And that's currently how it's done. So we're just replacing those systems with quite a simple one. So to make that a little bit tangible, in the beautiful Borana Conservancy in central Kenya, neighboring Lewa Conservancy, we worked with the teams and the community teams there to collaborate with the community and identify a need of theirs. And that need was that at the present time, women were having to spend or walk 10 kilometers plus through dangerous terrain to collect water for their home. And obviously that takes away time from their children, from everything else. The development goal that they requested was, please, can they have a gravity water pipe pulling from the mountain of Kenya or Mount Kenya? And also came with that was a 10,000 liter water tank. But what's important here is that we don't just provide aid or try save Africa. It's very much dignifying and giving the communities a sense of purpose and a role in their own conservation. So that's where they reported 190 tasks. 77 of them were verified, meaning the others were rejected because it was either duplicated, false information, or not accurate. And part of that were wildlife conflicts. So when an elephant or baboon raided crops, we did have one incident of a leopard taking out a dog, but also there was the community members supporting in repairing erosion hotspots, as well as removing invasive plants, which are very destructive to our habitats and therefore the wildlife that lives within them. And what was fun is that we had 28 people engaged reporting these tasks, and 3,000 people benefited from everyone's activity. So just to round all of that up, when we put people first and we support people, we can really build ecosystems together. And the byproduct of that will be wildlife that thrives. So really through this relationship of technology, not reinventing any wheels on the ground, keeping it simple, removing complex frameworks and reporting for donors, it's really building a system that can simply collect data from the field and filter that into a dashboard, and then people can respond as they need. So thank you very much, Vanessa, and thanks, team.
Great, thank you very much. Another amazing example of how to use tech and data for the protection of endangered species and other causes with the involvement of the communities and people on the ground. And I like your reference to making it simple and using, controlling and using the technology in the way that is beneficial to us, including through the participatory surveying. Very, very interesting.